Now, described by the New York Times as admirably versatile with exquisite dramatic talents and much better pronouncing things than I am. But Suzanna Geraghty is one to watch.
Yep, her solo comedy Auditions, always Auditions sold out, received standing ovations and a bestseller rating at the United Solo Theatre Fest. Suzanna joins us now to tell us more. Good morning and welcome.
Very welcome.
Good to see you.
Good morning and thank you very much for having me on.
Not at all.
A former Glen Rower, how could we not, Suzanna?
Oh, well, that is going back so long ago. I was actually young. and it was one episode, and I was playing a girl called Sarah. Sarah, the Sloane Ranger from London.
Oh, very good.
And shortly after that, actually, that's when I moved to America.
Right.
Shortly after that.
Had a profound effect on you, yeah.
but shortly I moved to America after that.
But that shows that acting is something that you were very young then. It was something you wanted to do for a long time. Has this always been the drive to act? I know you've moved into writing now, so you're doing both.
Yeah.
But was that, as a young girl, was that what you wanted to be doing?
I was a closet actor.
Okay.
I did not, for the life of me, want to admit to my parents that I wanted to be an actor.
Why not?
Because I didn't know how they would react to it. Because parents who love you, they don't want you to be subjected to a life of unemployment and rejection and poverty. Like, if they love you, you know, they
want
have
a safe job with a good career.
Yeah, they want some kind of
doctor, be a solicitor.
Yeah.
Or marry well.
Marry well, something like that. So I remember before I went to college, and my mother sat down. I was learning how to drive at the time, and so I was driving, and we pulled into her office, and she says, "Now, young lady, what is it you want to do with your life?" And I'll never forget it. I sat there, and I said, "Mom, I would like to be a playwright for tax efficiency purposes."
Oh, you had good spin on it.
And she was a lawyer, you know. And she really pushed me. But playwrights are tax-free, Mum. And she was like, really? And then she was like, oh, that's fantastic. But, you know, deep down, I wanted to act.
Isn't it great though that you're able to go on and realise that ambition?
Yeah.
And also to do it like in one of the most competitive arenas in the world.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about the move over there and the idea then of going into writing as well as acting.
Yeah. I had done my undergrad there, right? So, but I came back there in 1997, and I had graduated with about 450 people altogether, and I discovered that I was the only person still acting.
Wow.
And that sort of goes into the play.
Rate. Yeah,
no, that goes into the play, like a little bit about that as well.
Actually, let's talk about the play, because time is against us, so I want to focus on that.
Okay.
Because it is, we were just discussing this in the break, and I was saying, actors and actresses constantly getting that rejection. I'm amazed that most of you aren't lying in bed every morning going, oh, I'm not worth getting out of bed. And I know you're not supposed to take it personally, but very few of us have a job in which getting constant rejection is just part of the job. It's a tough thing to deal with.
Well, one of the things I had to figure out in order to go on, because you're right in what you say, like there's the financial hardship, but there's also the psychological hardship. And you have to say, well, what causes that? And what actually causes that is if you attach your self-worth to the outcome of an audition. If you say to yourself, oh, I didn't get this audition, I'm lousy, I'm worthless, or you allow it to make you feel down, you're in for misery.
And it could be something simple, like we were actually looking for one with bigger ears and deeper chin or something. So you can't. But get back to writing the one-man show, the solo show, because that must be one of the hardest things to do. It's great when you've got comfort on stage and you've got props and you've got other people, but when you're on your own sometimes and you've got responsibility for the whole thing. Wow.
Am I right in saying you also overcame dyslexia to actually write it as well?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why it took so long to write. What happened to me was I found the character. And I found this character.
This is Zoe.
Zoe.
Okay.
And what happened was, I was standing outside the Irish Arts Centre in New York, and Pauline Turley said to me, and I didn't know her that well, she said, Suzanne, I'm starting up a cabaret night on Sundays, would you come in and do something funny? And I said, well, I don't write, and I'm not a comedian. And she said, but I think you are. And I didn't know how to, really, I talk to you quite normally, but, you know, kind of thing. So anyway, I was spurred on by her request. So I started to conceive of an actress who I called Zoe Brown. And she arrives to an audition completely dishevelled, with her hair standing on end, and ends up doing all of Wuthering Heights in about 3 minutes. And then
a
I
redacted version.
Yes.
3 minutes.
Speed reading course works.
And then I did Shakespeare's Heroine in 2 minutes. And then I ran off the stage. And I got a standing ovation. And then I was asked to go to Caroline's Comedy Club on Broadway to do it there. So I did it there. That was seen by a lady called Cicely Palava, who was an NBC casting director. And she cast me in a British comedy skit. And then I began to realise I got something here. So I started doing Zoe at auditions, but I would never say it was something I wrote. So what I do is I go in, because you get 2 minutes, open calls, and I just turn around. I go perfectly normally. Hello, my name is Suzanna Geraghty. I'm going to do a piece, and I'd make up a playwright. And then I just turn around.
So you'd never say it was your work?
Never did.
Why not?
And you know what happened to me? Oh my God, I started getting callbacks from the big theatre companies, like Manhattan Theatre Club, Second Stage. And I was really pulled up on it. A guy called David Caprieliotis, he was the casting director at the time, brought me in for an Alan Ayckbourn play. And he looked at me and he said, you told me that that character you do was in such and such a play by such and such a playwright. And I said, did I? And he said, where did you get her? And I said, I created her. And he said, for God's sake, write a play for her.
And you have done.
Yeah.
And it's going on tour now. When can people see it? And where can people see it?
People can see it, firstly, it launches in Kerry, in St. John's Theatre, and I can't wait to get there because all my family, my mother's side are from Kerry.
Good woman.
Then we go to Friargate in Limerick, and then we're at the Mill on the 7th in Dundrum.
Okay.
Which is a great venue, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then Murray Maid in Wicklow on the 19th, Theatre Royal, oh my gods, on the 26th, and then Birr on the 5th of October, and then I'm over to the Lime Tree for the 7th and 8th, and then up the north.
Well, listen, have a great time. We've put all your website details on screen. It was lovely meeting you. Enjoy the tour and come back to us soon, Suzanna.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you're finally laying claim to your talents.
One thing I have to say is there's a group of people in Times Square watching this show. They're in O'Loney's Times Square pub.
Oh, excellent.
And they're airing this live, and they're all watching, because that's where I used to
Excellent stuff.
They're watching right now, and they're having a party.
They're having a party right now.
Hey,
I wish we were there to join in the party. Have a brilliant time. Have a pint for us.
All right, thank you.
Suzanna, pleasure. Thank you very much.